Prison overcrowding.
No one can stop this.
The new Mexican mafia.
I'm above the law. So I'm here with the Wild Man, responding to your questions and comments on YouTube. A lot of people are asking, what are you up to these days, Lar?
Not a lot really, to be honest with you. What I mainly do is I go to work with my dad. Only work part-time. Did a kitchen last week. I won't be doing one now till the 25th of November. And then the rest of the time I just take my dog out, Sadie, who's a big fat huge Alaskan Malamute. I take her for walks. I like to game. I like to play Guns of Glory and Kings of Avalon. That's about it. I don't bother watching TV, it's boring shit. I listen to smooth radio and try and stay out the way of my wife.
Zavidar twins have asked, was your cellmate always the same race, and if not, what happened?
In county, no, they weren't the same race. And actually in prison, yeah and no. You see, when you're in a dorm, you're obviously not going to have a dorm full of white people. Okay, let's start with county. In county, you're putting with anyone and everyone. You get a lot of the white skinheads saying and requesting a move, but basically they've got to roll up out their own cell to get a move, and they're not going to move him. They won't have like a whole dorm of white people and a whole dorm of black people and a whole dorm of Mexicans. They tend to mix it. They tend to have like 15 of each, so it's equal. It doesn't always work out that way because some roll up and go and others come in, and it's like they don't think, oh well, there's only 14 Chicanos, so we need to put all of them in. Sometimes there's more whites, sometimes there's more Chicanos, but in general, it's yeah. And in county, I had a Mexican as a cellmate. I had a few Mexicans as cellmates. I've had a black as a cellmate. I've had an Indian, Native American as a cellmate. So yeah, it's mixed. In prison, in dorms, it's mixed again. When you go to the hall and you're locked down, they always mix you with your same race. They always put you with your same race. Other than that, I know the higher and Buckeye and places like that, the higher cats where Shaun's been, they'll probably just put you with your own race. But that's something that doesn't happen in the minimum prisons.
Someone's asked, will grooming gangs get smashed in prison?
Yes, they will. Anyone who does anything like that, sexual pests, like that rapper, the one with the rainbow hair, I've heard about him on the news, like I say, I don't watch TV, I've seen a little bit about on YouTube. That guy's just a fucking pervert. Jesus Christ. The amount of money he's got, and he wants to go around thinking he's a gangbanger like Tupac, and then he's going around fucking grooming 13-year-old kids. And not only that's just sick in it itself, but putting it on Instagram, spanking her ass.
We'll get on that one in a minute. Will Tommy Robinson get his wig split in prison? What does Wildman think about the legalization of weed?
I think they should legalise it. I personally give it up. I gave it up about 3 months ago for my own reasons, my own personal reasons really. It's because I'd get up and I'd have to move kitchens and unload kitchens. And if you smoke weed, you're always out of breath. And I have asthma anyway, so I'd give it up for that. I'm not saying I won't go back on it. I just choose not to do it now. And I never smoke green ever. I always just smoke Rocky. But I think that for medical reasons, they should always. I think they have now here. But in general, I mean, no one goes and robs a house because they want a bag of weed, do they? You know what I mean? They're not criminals. So yeah, alcohol's worse than weed.
Stop throwing people in prison for weed. It's a waste of time. That's not what prisons were built for. This one's asked if we got any pictures of us from back in the day. If you go on, put in Shaun Attwood Business Insider, they had some of my old school pictures. In my book Party Time, Hard Time, the original editions, there's some pictures in the middle there. I'm going to have to dig some pictures out and put more stuff on YouTube. What happens to prisoners in times of war?
When it kicks off?
So say like there was a war, like we were at war with like China or Russia, and there was like a world war kind of thing. What did the government do to the prisoners?
I don't actually know. Well, they wouldn't really give a fuck about them, would they, to be fair? They won't give them any special treatment.
There's times when, during war, prisoners have been viewed as a risk, because like they might rise up and help the enemy, and the prisoners have been killed. There's other times when governments or leaders have offered prisoners the opportunity to fight in their wars, and there's other times where, like back when it was proper like old school, out in the open fighting, they put the prisoners at the front to take all the arrows coming in from the enemy, and then their soldiers come in after the dudes with the arrow, who's taking the arrows.
Basically, cannon fodder.
Cannon fodder, exactly.
But we're talking back in the day. I mean, that's how Australia was started. We just sent all the prisoners over there. Now you've got to show an ID and you're not allowed in there. Cheeky bastards, aren't they? You know what I mean? We started the fucking country of prisoners, and now they won't let no criminals in. How fucked up's that?
This sarcastic James Robertson's asked, can we do a tediously detailed video on the effects of not cleaning your windows properly, and what's the best way to prevent black mould? No comment. Can gang leaders or heads of buildings be overthrown?
Yeah, I've done a video on that.
How is it decided who replaces them?
It comes from above.
Wildman, are you related to Count Von Count from Sesame Street? You look alike.
No, but thank you.
How many people have you seen killed in prison?
No more than 4. Well, one of them I don't actually know because the ambulance come, the helicopter come and took them away. But the others are definitely the wig was split.
Are there Jewish gangs in prison?
Yes, there is, especially in likes of New York, places like that. You don't so much get them in Arizona. It depends where you are in prison, I suppose. I wouldn't imagine you'd get them in like Texas or southern states either. But definitely in like Brooklyn and New York, you'll definitely get Jewish gangs, yeah.
Daddy Longleg wants to know what happens on Valentine's Day in prison.
The same as what happens to your Valentine's Day. You probably don't get a card, you probably don't get chocolates, you probably don't get laid.
What football team do you support?
I don't really support any, to be fair. I like American football. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Do people ever attempt to escape?
Yes, a lot of people do. But not everyone makes it. Papillon did.
Commenting on that, the young person who got sent away for the roach, they're like really shocked by that.
Yeah, it's just a waste of the taxpayers' money. It's just a waste of everyone's money. I've sat there listening to people and they're doing 3 or 4 years because it's the second time they've been caught with a roach. For fuck's sake, people, you know what I mean? There's killers out there, there's rapists out there, and you're sending people down for having a joint.
How are disabled inmates treated?
With respect.
What do you think of Prison Break?
I like Prison Break, actually. I think it's pretty realistic, to be fair.
What do you think of Teabag?
Bit of a weasel.
Did you have any fear when you first entered the penal system?
Yeah, I mean everyone does, your stomach does go. That day when you go from county and you get sentenced and the judge says like 8 years, you think, oh fucking hell.